Hello, I'm Andy and welcome to FlixMySwitchLASER. So today we are going to connect a laser into Lightburn. We're going to try and do it auto detect, and we're also going to do it manually. Once we've got it in Lightburn, I'm going to show you the settings that you initially need to check to make sure your laser is working correctly. So let's get straight to it. So the first thing we need to do is click devices. I've already got some devices here because I've already got profile set up. Yours is going to be probably blank. So I'm going to click find my laser, and it's saying it's going to scan the USB devices. It may not find it because I've already got them connected, so I'm going to cancel from that. So I'm going to do, first of all, I'm going to say create manually. Going to click on that, going to select GRBL, click next. Select serial USB because that's how I'm going to connect to my laser. Double click. Now give it a name, and I'm going to say laser YouTube demo. You can put anything in there you want and you can change it later. Now my bed size, as with all Ray 5s, is 400. Well, with a Ray 5, 5 watt and 10 watt, it's 400 by 400. If you've got a 20 watt, you may have to put in 365, 365. Connect next. Now it's important you get this right. Front left for the home position, and I'm going to deselect auto home. A standard Ray 5, 5 and 10 watt frame does not have limit switches, so you cannot auto home. If you do select that and you try and auto home, you'll get some error messages, and we don't want that. So even with my laser that does have limit switches, I have this off just to make sure that when the laser fires up, you've got nothing stuck in your work area that the laser head could knock into. So I always have that off because it's just a button click and you can auto home it. But because we have not got limit switches, we're definitely turning that off. So we can select next. That's giving you a summary of what we've connected to, and you can see here GRBL laser YouTube demo GRBL. Now if you click on that, you can then click on make default, and you'll see a little star appear just there, and now that is my default laser. So now we can say OK. So you can see the work area is 400 by 400, and this is your working area. So when we start designing that product, this is the area we have to work in. So these are tools down here, and we'll cover those in another video. And these are also tools, and they're used for different things. These are to do with layering, so as we create our projects, we put them on different layers to do different things. So the important thing now is we need to try and get our laser to connect. So we come back over here to devices, and you would, just to make sure you can see, because we had laser YouTube demo selected as my default, it's already there, but we still got to say what COM port it's on. Now if you click that, why has that not detected that? Okay, so I had a power problem because I had all my USB devices, so my camera, my wireless microphone and the laser all plugged into a USB hub. That's why this was not connecting. You can now see I can choose COM9. So I'm actually in my office with not the actual laser, so I've got a ESP chip here with the code loaded on, so that's why that wasn't working. Hopefully you won't get that problem. Okay, so now we've selected the COM port, we know our laser is connected. So, hey, Andy from the future here. Sorry, I did forget to mention the correct startup procedure that I use is with my laptop off and my laser off. That's how I start. Then first of all, I home the head by slowly moving it, and I do mean slowly, so you don't see the little red light on the left hand side of the driver board light up, down to the bottom left hand corner. So now we've homed the laser, so you can turn the laser on now, let the boot screen appear and disappear, and then you can turn on Lightburn and connect the laser like I'm showing you. That way Lightburn will know that the laser is sitting at 00. Let's continue the video. The first thing we're going to change is on this screen up here. We're going to click on the down button and put in absolute coordinates. Now we're not going to go into that in too much detail, but basically once the laser is down here at 00, it knows that it can travel 400 across and 400 up without banging itself into the side of the frame. That is absolute coordinates. So whatever you draw on here is where the laser will move to engrave it. So now you've got the laser in the bottom left hand corner. What I want you to do is go to the Move tab. Now if for some reason you don't see the Move tab, go up to Window, come down here and click on this box will be empty and the Move tab will spring to life. Now we've got the Move window here. We're going to click on Move, and all we want to do is click the up arrow once and you should get your laser to move 10 millimeters, i.e. 1 centimeter. Click the right hand button and it should move to the right. If that's all well and good, we are making progress. So you cannot auto home, because to be able to auto home you need things called limit switches, and they are extra gadgets you can buy, which are two little switches, strange enough, which when the laser moves on its own to the bottom left hand corner, part of the laser module will hit the switch and that will tell the software that the laser is at its home position. But we haven't got that at the moment, so let's continue. So now our laser is sitting just here at 1010, so that doesn't matter for now. All I'm going to do is show you some other settings that we need to check to make sure our laser is going to work properly. So first of all we're going to click on the spanner icon, which is the top one here, which is called Settings. So we're going to click on that. So it brings up as another screen, and this is just telling us that we've got our work area at 400 by 400, we set it. CNC machine should be in red, so it's disabled. It's telling us our origin, which is our home position, is at bottom left, because that's how we set it. Okay, things that you need to make sure are off. This needs to be off, which it should be if you follow my setup instructions. Don't worry about any of these at the moment, because we can cover those in another video. The most important thing you need to check is S value max is 1000, baud rate is 115200, and transfer type is buffered. We can cover all these boxes in another video, but I am going to say enable fire button, this one here, and laser on when framing. We're going to tick that green and we're going to set that to 1%, and we'll show you what that does very shortly. The other boxes, we don't need to worry about those. Additional settings, now we can press this button, read from controller, and these values might change. And what this does, it tells Lightburn the values stored in the actual firmware inside your controller. So I'm going to press this and you can see that those values changed. And what that should do now is when we preview our laser job, the estimated time given should be more realistic than if we hadn't read from the controllers. You saw the numbers change. I think that was on 500 and it's dropped it down to 100. Now this is millimeters a second, but we're working in millimeters a minute, and we'll come on to that in a minute. So I'm going to now select OK, and if we click on the other icon, which is the gears, we can just run through some of these. I recommend that we turn off beginner mode. It is slightly simplified, but we want to make sure we've got these up here, and you don't get that on the basic screen. I'm going to turn off ignore out of bound shapes if possible. If you find your mouse, when you use the center wheel, is reversed, you can tick that button. So I mentioned about the button that you can reverse your scroll mouse on your mouse. So if I just draw a simple square, so I'm click on square, click the left mouse button, I'm going to drag that out, let go, and I've drawn a square. Now I'm going to select the selection tool and click off it. Now I can zoom into this, so if I press my wheel up, this is how I prefer it, I'm zooming in, and if I pull my mouse wheel down, I scroll out. But if you prefer it the other way, if you go back to the gears and you select invert mouse, okay, now if I go up, it goes away, and if I scroll down, it comes towards me. So I'm going to change that back, because that would really annoy me, because I prefer it the other way. So that's what that little button does. Save job, we select that, you can leave all those, and you can leave all those. Units, now because we're using a diode laser, most people use millimeters per minute, not millimeters a second. You can use millimeters a second, but you'll find that most people, especially on YouTube where we are now, use millimeters per minute because our diode lasers are quite slow. You can also, if you're in the United States and you're used to using inches, you can use inches per minute, but when you're viewing videos online, just make sure you look at the scale they're using. If they're using millimeters per minute, you would have to multiply that by, was it 24.5 or 25.5? I'll put it on the screen, but you have to multiply that to get it back into inches. Snap to grid, yes. Snap to grid, yes. Snap to objects, yes. 0.1, 1 and 5, and we'll cover that in a minute. This is the grid, so you can see we've got a grid here, and this is how you're setting up this grid. So the vertical spacing is 10, the snapping distance will snap to a 1 mil increment, tolerance and snap to distance is 10. That's all standard, and I recommend you start with standard display. Now if you've got a slow computer, and when we start viewing especially engraved objects, you see that your computer is struggling, then you can turn that off, because it says, you know, it will, if you have it on, it is slow. But if I have as I have a fast computer, I'm going to leave this all as standard, but that's something you can come back. Again, curve quality, when it's previewing, if your computer is struggling, you can turn this down as much as required to be able to see a reasonably fast render on the screen. Import and export, leave that as standard. This is an important one if you're bringing in something from Inkscape, which is an open source free vector editing program. It needs to be set on that, otherwise when you import from Inkscape it will scale differently. Similarly, if you're using Illustrator, then you would change it to there. And that's all we need to do. Camera, I haven't got a camera, so not covering that today. So we are there. So that is the settings that you need to change and to make sure that your laser is going to work. There is one more setting I want you to get used to using. This is in the console window. And what the console window is doing, it's talking to your laser. So if you look at this, so I'm going to unplug my laser, and you should see COM9, that should now disappear. I'm going to plug it back in, but be on the console window, and you should see some stuff come up. So, port failed to open unused, because that's what it does initially. If we go back to laser, need to select COM9, go back to console. So this connected to console. Don't worry about this red, because we are using the correct firmware for our laser. This is going to work. It's telling you here a Wi-Fi access point, and we can cover that in another video. At the moment we're using USB cord, and then it's telling us here the same thing. So 0.4 is giving our MAC address, Wi-Fi address, it's telling us it's connected, and that all looks promising, so don't worry about the red. So what I want you to do here is type in $, press return. Now don't worry about all the information that's just shown up there. I'm using the mouse wheel now and I'm scrolling up so I can read the values. Now you can compare your values to my values, but the most important value for today is this $30. $30 must equal 1,000. Now if your $30 for whatever reason, let's say equals 255, I'm going to change mine. So let's say your $30 equals 255. What's going to happen then is your laser's not going to work properly, because this number needs to be 1,000. So if you see that, I want you to, in this box, type $30 equals 1,000, press enter. Then you can type $, again, and the numbers will scroll. So you need to scroll back down to the bottom, then scroll up, and you can see this now equals 1,000. And what that will mean is, because that equals 1,000, $30, and this one equals 1,000, it means that when we ask for, say, 10% power, the laser will give you 10% power, and if you ask for 100% power, it will give you 100% power. So it's important that S value max must equal 1,000. $30 must equal 1,000. Just one more quick thing: if you accidentally moved these windows, and you're maybe asking, why is my window up here? It's because I moved it up there. And if you absolutely mess up your display, so you get anything looking terrible like this, you think, oh my gosh, it was never like that last time I turned it on. To get it back to standard, if you do window, reset default layout, it will put it back exactly how Lightburn was when it came out the box. So you can see this window lives down the bottom, but I find it easier being at the top. So to move any window, you can see the row of dots down here, and when you run your mouse cursor over the dots, you can see you get the movement icon. So hold the left mouse button down, and now you can drag it, and wherever it goes blue, it will snap into. So you can put it anywhere. Let's see where else it will go. Over here, there, but I prefer it down there. So once it's in the blue area, you can click and let go, and it will slide in. So that's how you change the windows, and you'll notice now the arrange long has disappeared. So remember, we went to window, click off arrange, and they disappear. Window, arrange long, and they come back. So that's just how to reset your tile layout of your windows if you get it completely messed up and you can't for some reason drag them back in their standard place. So here we are at the laser. Now, before you turn on, my laser looks slightly different from yours, but it is a 10 watt longer. I've got some additional equipment here, which is a focusing system. This is for my 10 watt and this is for my 20 watt, so ignore that. And you could ignore this limit switch. This limit switch is there because I use a 20 watt laser as well, and that's configured for the 20 watt. You won't have that. So with the laser off, slowly, and I mean like this, that's how fast you move it, up and down. Push your laser into the bottom left hand corner, so and you'll have a little stop pin here. I've removed mine till the laser butts up against that, and you'll have a pin here, so the laser butts up against that. So that's going to be roughly in the corner there, but yours will be right in the corner, and you're going to turn the panel on. Don't worry about my screen. My screen's going to be upside down, and that's going to be different from yours, but I have full videos about that. The reason my screen is upside down is because I'm playing with different firmware. Anyway, we are now going to check your laser work. So you're going to press engrave, and you should only have 3 files here. I've got many, so I'm going to use the down button to scroll across until I see the compass, and I'm going to select the compass. Then what I'm going to do, I'm going to slowly move my laser. Look how slowly I'm moving it. And I'm guessing, because it's a long time since I've done this, I've moved the nozzle to the bottom left hand corner. Now you're going to have a shield on yours like this. Okay, but for demonstration purposes I've taken mine off, because I want you to be able to see exactly what I'm doing. And if you don't have a cone like this, don't worry, the laser beams are going to come on in a minute, and it's going to show you exactly where we are. Very likely that you've got this witch's hat bolted on the bottom of your laser, so you won't have this silver nozzle at the bottom. You will have this, but you will in a minute see a blue dot appear. So what I'm coming back to now, here, going to press the frame button. Now your frame button is going to be up here, so I'm going to press the frame button. We're going to watch what the laser does. See, the blue lights come on, and it's framing exactly where the compass is going to go. So I guessed correctly that our origin for the job is bottom left hand corner. Now if you wanted to have it more central in the wood, you would have to keep moving this across and then come back here and say back, and then frame again, and you'll see it'll frame more central in the wood. But it really doesn't matter, because all we are doing is testing that the laser burns. So I'm going to move that back to the bottom left hand corner. Then I'm going to say computer extract on. That's brought my extract fan system on. I'm just going to put the lid on my enclosure. So you are going to have to focus your laser. So I'm going to insert a piece of video now to show you how you would focus your laser. You've got a 50mm aluminium block for the 10 watt and a 30mm aluminium tube for the 5 watt. And basically you've got some black screws here. You're going to undo those, which will allow the laser to slide up and down, and I will show you with an insert now where the block goes. You lower the laser down onto that block, then you knit those 2 screws up here and here, and that locks the laser at the correct height. So we've got our material. Make sure you've got a protection sheet under your material, something that's not going to burn. A ceramic tile works very well. I've got a honeycomb bed here, which is quite dirty. You can see I use mostly the front, and the back it's really clean. And underneath there, here, is an aluminium plate, and underneath that is a ceramic tile, 600 ceramic tile. So we've got material, we focused, I've got my extract running. I'm going to turn on my air assist now because I have it. If you've only got the cone, you won't have a separate air pump. So I've got a separate air pump over there, and what that does, it's blowing external air through this tube, this rubber tube, into the nozzle, and it blows it down at a much higher pressure than the wind coming out from the fan, which is up here, which is the cooling fan going through your laser, and then all the cooling air comes out that nozzle. So now I'm just going to turn my air assist pump on. It will get a bit noisy. So I've got my safety glasses on, doing my LED impression.
So now we're all ready. So we can, I'm going to go back once more, just to frame again. And that looks like it's going to fit on the board. And it says positioning. While it's doing that, it says positioning. Then I'm going to press confirm, and the laser will spring into life and start engraving the compass on our piece of wood. So all we're doing is purely testing that the laser works. So without it being connected to Lightburn, without any configurations in Lightburn, we're just checking that we can get the laser burning, which it actually does. So that's going to take a minute to engrave. So what I'll do, I'll come back to you once that's done, because it's no fun just watching that engrave. So on the screen it is giving you some progress information, and later on we can adjust the power. You can also stop the laser if you need to stop it. If you've got a red button here on the side of your TFT screen, if you press that, the laser will stop. So there's two ways to stop it, and you can also press pause button, which will pause the laser, and the laser should go off. So we're at 78% now, so we just let that finish. And what should happen, once the laser's finished, it should return to where it started from. So it will speed up in a second, because it's only just going to do the little tiny spike going up to the end symbol for north. So I have no idea why the laser travels over to the right hand side. There must be something in the file that it thinks it's there, because it should only travel where there is information. So that's really weird. I'd have to check that file. Okay, you saw it finish there. So the laser's returned. The laser's switched off. And on the screen it says carve finished, and you press yes. So computer, extract stop. You can see we've got a nice engrave there. The detail is there. I think my laser was slightly out of focus, because I'm not sure whether I actually did focus. I don't think I did. No, I didn't. What a donut. I was actually half a mil out of focus. You can see I have a different focus system. So there we go. We've got a nice compass. The detail is there. We've proved that our laser works. So I'm just rerunning this test file, because I was half a millimeter out of focus. So when we get back upstairs, I can use a different camera and show you any difference in quality between this test image, which has been burned in focus, and half a mil out of focus, and that may then focus your mind. Did you see what I did there? How important focus is, because I would expect the focus on this one to be crisper than the one I just burned.
Well, thank you for making it to the end of my video, and I hope you have found it informative and helpful, and it's got you to make some safe smoke. There is a lot of detail in that video, and I think you can see if you've never done lasering or 3D printers, you can see just the smallest amount of adjustment can have a huge impact on your work. I think the focus
mistake that I show in the video, as I focused 0.5 mil above what I should have focused at, makes a huge difference on the outcome. And it's like anything, if you haven't seen the video that I've done on how to adjust your eccentric nut properly, that again only takes a very slight adjustment to get the laser running smoothly, rather than the motor struggling to pull the laser module around. Anyway, I'm going to wish you a good afternoon, continue to make some happy smoke, and perhaps you would like to join me in my next video. To make sure you don't miss them, please like, comment, and more importantly subscribe to my channel, and you will not miss any upcoming videos. As you've probably gathered, all my videos are heavily biased towards longer products, because that's what I have. I have a 5, a 10 and a 20 watt laser at the moment, and I am more than happy with the products. So let's join each other in my next video. Cheers for now. Thank you for making it to the end of my videos, much appreciated. If you like what I'm doing and I've earned your trust and respect, perhaps you would consider subscribing. If you leave a comment, I will answer them as well, and if you give me a thumbs up, it will put a smile on my face. Perhaps you would like some of the videos popping up now. See you in the next one.